Friends, Donald Trump defeated Kamala Harris and won the US elections. And right now he is the president elect and he will be the next president and he will take office on 20th January 2025. So he has already started building up his team, which will be his cabinet. Rundown on who are the who's who in his cabinet. Before we move ahead, I would like to tell you that we have an NGO, Uma Dream Foundation, whose tagline is to give right to education to every underprivileged child so that they can also blossom like a tree. And we have an e-commerce site which supports our NGO, and that showcases the handicrafts of West Bengal. So I will request you to either make a purchase from our e-com site or be a volunteer in our NGO helping these artisans and their children. The cabinet roles will require approval from the US Senate. If 4 Republican senators and all the Democrats disagree to any individual, then that nomination will fail. And at that time, Vice President-elect J.D. Vance will be able to step in to confirm a nominee if there is a tie. The Secretary of State is going to be Marco Rubio. This Florida senator has been picked for the US Secretary of State, the President's main advisor on foreign affairs, who acts as America's top diplomat when representing the country overseas. This 53-year-old takes a hawkish view of China. He opposed Trump in the 2016 Republican primary but has since mended fences and is in his good books. The Defense Secretary has been named as Pete Hegseth. This military veteran and Fox News host, who has never held political office, has been nominated to be the next Defense Secretary. His appointment is one of the most highly anticipated in Trump's cabinet as the wars in Ukraine and Gaza rage on, and Trump is against this and wants to bring peace into the world. After Hegseth's appointment, it emerged that he was investigated in 2017 for an alleged sexual assault. He was never arrested or charged and denies the allegation. Pam Bondi has been named as the Attorney General, and Trump's first pick for Attorney General was former Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz, who withdrew from the consideration for the role earlier in November, and after weeks of controversy over a congressional investigation into a sexual misconduct and drug allegations against him. And Gaetz denied all these, but he said he wanted to avoid a needlessly protracted Washington scuffle. So after 6 hours of all this, Trump named Pam Bondi, a former Florida Attorney General, as his successor. Doug Burgum is going to be the Department of the Interior, and he was announced during a speech at the Mar-a-Lago that he would ask Doug Burgum, the governor of North Dakota, to lead the Department of the Interior. This software entrepreneur who sold his small company to Microsoft in 2001, Burgum briefly ran in 2024 Republican primary before dropping out, endorsing Trump and quickly impressing him with his low drama persona and sizable wealth. If confirmed, Burgum will oversee an agency that is responsible for the management and conservation of federal lands and natural resources. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been slated to look after the health and human services. RFK Jr., as he is known, an environmental lawyer, vaccine skeptic, and the nephew of former President John F. Kennedy, is Trump's pick to lead the Department of Health and Human Services, though he has no medical qualifications. This 70-year-old would have broad remit over US federal health agencies, including those that oversee approval of vaccines and pharmaceuticals. The Food and Drug Administration will be overlooked by Dr. Marty Makary, and Trump has nominated Makary to lead this department, and FDA is responsible for the safety of prescription drugs and vaccines, as well as oversight of food and cosmetics. The Veterans Affairs will be looked after by Doug Collins. This former Georgia Congressman, Doug Collins, has been chosen to lead the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs. Collins was Trump loyalist when he served in the Congress from 2013 to 21. He was an outspoken advocate for the president-elect during both impeachment hearings. He is an Iraq War veteran who now serves as chaplain in the U.S. Air Force Reserve. Collins left Congress for an unsuccessful bid for the Senate in his home state of Georgia. Kristi Noem is going to look after the Homeland Security. This South Dakota Governor, Kristi Noem, has been nominated for the key role overseeing U.S. security, including its borders, cyber threats, terrorism, and emergency response. This agency has a $62 billion budget and employs thousands of people. It incorporates a wide variety of agencies under its umbrella, ranging from customs and border protections to the Federal Emergency Management Agency. Transport Secretary will be Sean Duffy. This former congressman and Fox Business host Sean Duffy has been selected to lead Department of Transportation. He will be taking charge of aviation, automotive, rail, transit, and other transportation policies at the Transport Department with roughly $110 million annual budget. Chris Wright as the Energy Secretary. This oil and gas industry executive, Wright, will lead the Department of Energy, where he is expected to fulfill Trump's campaign promise to drill baby drill and maximize US energy production, because this is one of his election agendas. Wright was the founder CEO of Liberty Energies and has called climate activists alarmist and likened Democrats' push for renewables to Soviet-style communism. The Commerce Secretary will be Howard Lutnick, who co-chaired Trump's transition team and chief executive of the financial firm Cantor Fitzgerald, and has been picked to lead the Commerce Department, and he is to spearhead the administration's tariff and trade agenda, again another election agenda of Trump. Education will be looked after by Linda McMahon, who is the WWE co-founder and Trump transitional co-chair. Linda McMahon has been appointed as Trump's nominee for Education Secretary and a long-term Trump ally. She has led the Small Business Administration during Trump's first presidency and donated millions of dollars to his presidential campaign. Scott Bessent has been nominated as the Treasury Secretary, and Scott Bessent has been, the selection ends what has proven to be one of the most protracted decisions for the president-elect as he assembles his team for a second term. He is a Wall Street financier who once worked for liberal billionaire George Soros and was an early backer of Trump's 2024 bid, and would bring a relatively conventional resume to the role. On his campaign trail, Bessent told voters that Trump would usher in a new golden age with deregulation, low-cost energy, and low taxes, and this is what put him in Trump's good books. Lori Chavez de Ramere has been nominated as the Labor Secretary, and she will be overseeing the worker health and safety, workforce laws, and administer unemployment and works compensation. She has been serving in the US Congress since 2023 but lost a re-election bid in Oregon in November election despite winning strong trade union support. Scott Turner gets the housing secretary, who is an NFL veteran and a motivational speaker, has been chosen to lead the US Department of Housing and Urban Development. Turner served as the executive director of the White House Opportunity and Revitalization Council during Trump's first term. He previously served in the Texas legislature. Agriculture goes to Brooke Rollins. She grew up on a farm, but her most recent job was as co-founder and head of the American First Policy Institute, and she is a MAGA-backed think tank and is in the very good books of Trump. Then we have the Department of Government Efficiency created for Elon Musk and his number two Vivek Ramaswamy. As we all know, Musk, the world's richest man, has been tapped to lead what Trump has termed a Department of Government Efficiency alongside one-time presidential hopeful Vivek Ramaswamy. This department, whose acronym is DOGE or DOGE, is a nod to a cryptocurrency promoted by Musk and will serve in an advisory capacity to dismantle government bureaucracy, slash excess regulations, cut wasteful expenditures, and restructure federal agencies. That is what is Trump's aim. But there is a little unclarity about the approval process because there are questions on Musk's earnings and how come Musk becomes Trump's efficiency czar and so on. So let us see what comes out and whether Elon Musk gets this department or not. Tom Homan is going to look after the borders. This is a very critical job because it includes responsibility for Trump's mass deportations of millions of undocumented migrants, which was a central campaign pledge. Homan is a former police officer who was acting director of the US Immigration and Customs Enforcement in Trump's first term and was advocated a zero tolerance stance on the issue. The Office of Management and Budget is going to be handled by Russell Vought. Vought has been selected to lead this office, a post he held during Trump's first term, and Vought previously served as the director of this agency, which helps craft the president's budget, acts as a central regulatory gatekeeper, and executes president's agenda across the government. He also authored a key chapter in Project 2025, a 900-page conservative policy wish list. He also serves as the Republican National Committee's 2024 Platform Policy Director. Lee Zeldin is going to head the Environmental Protection Agency. He will be in charge of tackling America's climate policy in this role. While serving in Congress from 2015 to 2023, Zeldin voted against expanding a number of environmental policies. He was already giving out his plans to roll back regulations from day one. And the United Nations ambassador will be Elise Stefanik. This New York Congresswoman has been tapped to serve as the US ambassador to the United Nations. She made national headlines with a sharp questioning in congressional committees. Trump has chosen his former director of national intelligence, an ex-Texas Congressman John Ratcliffe, to serve as the Central Intelligence Agency, that is the CIA director. There are many more posts which are also in the pipeline and some more are being spelled out. I will give out the names of the ones who are in the run for these posts. And the Director of National Intelligence is going to be handled by Tulsi Gabbard. Trump has named this former Democratic Congresswoman from Hawaii as the Director of National Intelligence, and she is a former US Army Reserve officer who once campaigned with Senator Bernie Sanders and ran for president as a Democrat in 2020 but has turned towards the Republicans in recent years. She also campaigned for Trump in 2024 and served on his transition team. The National Security Advisor has been named to be Mike Waltz. This Florida Congressman, Mike Waltz, has been selected as the next security advisor, and he will help navigate the US position on wars in Middle East and Ukraine. The special envoy to the Middle East, T. Witkoff, and Witkoff is a close friend of Trump who was with the former president when a man allegedly tried to assassinate him at his Palm Beach golf club in September. And Trump has described him as a highly respected leader in business and philanthropy who has made every project and community he has been involved with stronger and more prosperous and gone strength to strength. The ambassador to Israel will be Mike Huckabee. Special envoy to Ukraine and Russia will be Keith Kellogg, and ambassador to NATO may be Matthew Whitaker, and the Solicitor General in run is George Oswer. Trump has selected this gentleman to be the US Solicitor General so that he can serve and conduct government litigations in the US Supreme Court to its full efficiency. And the Federal Communications Commission chair goes to Brendan Carr. Brendan Carr is a current member of the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC, which regulates broadcast and internet use. Centers for Medicare and Medicaid services will be headed by Mehnat Oz. Mehnat Oz has been chosen to run the powerful agency that oversees the healthcare of millions of Americans, and he too will need to be confirmed by the US Senate next year before he officially takes charge. Oz trained as a surgeon before finding fame on the Oprah Winfrey Show in early 2000s, and he later hosted a TV program of his own. The US Trade Representative will be named to be Jameson Creer. The former trade lawyer is a veteran of Trump's first presidency. He played a key role in imposing tariffs on goods from China during Trump's first administration. Kevin Heseth will be named as the Director of National Economic Council, and he is a major advocate for tax cuts, which is again in Trump's lists. And Heseth has served as a chair for Council of Economic Advisors during Trump's first term. He previously worked for the conservative American Enterprise Institute before joining the White House in 2017. The US Navy Secretary will be John Pillam, and he is a businessman and who was Trump's pick to serve as the Secretary of the Navy. And the Navy Secretary is responsible for all affairs of the department, including its over $200 billion budget, and they are responsible for the Navy's sailor, marines, and civilian personnel. The National Institute of Health Director will be Jay Bhattacharya, and Trump has tapped Jay Bhattacharya, a leading COVID lockdown skeptic, to be the next director of a key US public health agency. The Senate will need to confirm his nomination, and this Stanford University-trained physician and economist will lead the National Institutes of Health, the world's biggest government-funded biomedical research entity. The UK ambassador is to be Warren Stephens. This billionaire investment banker and CEO is set to become the ambassador to the UK, and he has always dreamed of serving the United States full time, and he's going to get his dream come true. The Chief of Staff will be Susie Wales, and Chief of Staff is a cabinet member and often a president's top aide overseeing daily operations in the West Wing and managing the boss's staff. Will 67 has worked in the Republican politics for decades, from Ronald Reagan's successful 1980 campaign to electing Rick Scott and Ron DeSantis as governors of Florida. The Deputy Chief of Staff will be Stephen Miller. The White House Counsel will be William McKinley, and the Press Secretary will be Caroline Leavitt. The Communications Director handling the complete communications for the President will be Stephen Swang, and the Assistant to the President will be Sergio Gore. Sergio Gore is a business partner of Trump's son Donald Jr. He is the president and co-founder of the younger Trump's publishing company, Winning Team Publishing, which he has published a book by the president-elect also. And the head of the Federal Bureau of Investigations will be Kash Patel. Patel served as the former U.S. Defense Department Chief of Staff in the first Trump administration. He has been a steadfast supporter of the president-elect, sharing his suspicion of government institutions and so-called deep state. The senior advisor on Arab and Middle East affairs will be Masad Boulos. And with this, the list ends here, but then there may be some other appointments also for which people will be in the run. So let us see before 20th of January 25 who all are in Trump's cabinet, because they all need the approval of the Senate. So keep watching my channel for further developments, and also I am available free of cost to teach you everything on life skills. Jai Hind.